Hi there, my name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we're part of the ELCA, and welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary text. We tie them to an item from the Dollar Tree. This is for the narrative lectionary, and we're starting a new series on the creeds, on statements of faith, on belief, and it's a short series, a couple of weeks, and this is the beginning. And the text is Genesis 1:1-5. And in the beginning, God created, and how God created day and night, and how God created light and dark, and separated the two. And then this became, He called it day, and God called it day, and it was good. And so the statement of belief that God created and God created good. And in Hebrew, that's tov. God created tov. We just had this confirmation retreat, a confirmation camp, where we looked at that, and we every time we'd read, and God saw that it was tov, and we all said tov, and it's just a great sounding word, but God said it was good. And whether we know it or not, that is a statement of faith, a statement of belief, that we believe that when God created good. God saw it and said, this is good. And so one of the items that I'm thinking about using is now the Dollar Tree has lots of candy, and I'm a candy-holic. I love sweets, and one of my favorite candies is Milk Duds, and they usually have Milk Duds. I love Milk Duds, especially Milk Duds and popcorn, but that's a whole different thing, or a whole other thing. But I love that, and I'll eat Milk Duds, and I'll be like, oh, this is really good, and I make that statement, oh, this is good, and about how that, I look at that and go, oh, this is good, but I just take a moment and think about that's just, I really like Milk Duds, but when God says it, and when God speaks about creation and says, this is tov, this is very tov, how wonderful that is, and how it's just magnificent. I love that idea. And so that our God says, God is making a statement of belief. That God says, I created, and I created good. I created tov. This is good. And that's a wonderful thing. And talk about getting at the very beginning of a creation, and about how God rolls out the world. And it's a beautiful thing. So candy bar, there's that. And then, since this is the beginning of the creed, you could also talk about what the earliest creed for the Christian church is. And one of the earliest creeds for us is 3 words, and it's Jesus is Lord. And that is a big statement of faith. You could have an entire study on the political nature of that statement, that at that time Caesar was Lord, was the statement that people would make, and the fact that when you would say Jesus is Lord, if that's not a political statement, I don't know what is. It's not a partisan thing. We're not going there, but this idea that for the people, that when you had the emperor saying, you will worship me, and fellow Christians are saying, Jesus is Lord. That is huge, and it's a statement of faith, it's a statement of belief. So, with all that aside, that's just more like backstory. So one of the ideas I'm playing around with is having the congregation say that, and I've done this in confirmation camps and things like that, where we have one half of the congregation say Jesus, and the kids say is, and the other half say Lord. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord. And it's just it's fun. It's like the wave. And you could even throw in the wave, but I'm not either way. But the idea about getting at that, when we say the creed in church, whether it's the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed, the Athanasian Creed, or a statement of faith that people have come up with, we say those, and we've been saying them as Christians and folks of the faith for a long time. And we're looking at the basis, the beginning parts of the faith. We can look at that first one, Jesus is Lord, and about how that is a good, and we can pull back to Tov, that is good. So I'm hoping this can be a springboard for your own thinking around the creeds and around your own children's sermon. And as always, Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a fantastic week.